Hello everybody, Kathy here. Today I wanted to chat with you about one of the smartest ways to increase your finances. And funny enough, it's also one of the most overlooked ways of how to actually put yourself in a way better financial position. And yes, you guessed it, we're talking about how to significantly lower your tax bill or even fully eliminate your tax bill, which is what I've done for many of my clients and students. Why I think it's so important to talk about this subject is, first of all, I feel like people don't really know much about taxes. It's kind of this taboo topic that has negative connotations around it, but also people just simply don't know much about it, how they actually work. And for a lot of people, their tax bills can be oftentimes a surprise. Like, you'd be shocked by how many people I have in my inbox at the end of the financial year saying like, oh, I've received this shocking tax bill. It's like, how did you not figure this out, that this was going to happen? Like, literally, we don't talk enough about taxes. And also the other reason being, the more knowledge you have about this whole topic, the more you can use this tool to your advantage. And in this case, most of you might be watching, from high taxing Western countries, which means that you might have an effective tax rate of somewhere around 30 to 40%, also with social security contributions on top of that or included in that. That means that on a $200,000 income, you might end up having a tax bill somewhere around $80,000. Those $80,000, it's a huge chunk of your income, which could be put back into your business to be more profitable, to hire more people, or you could simply use it, for your lifestyle, to purchase a home for your parents, whatever it is that you need it for. But I think it's a super important topic that we need to be talking about, that isn't just available to the wealthy and rich, but I definitely think we should be looking at what the wealthy and rich are doing and kind of copying that, because in this day and age, you don't need to be wealthy and rich in order to start using these global tax strategies to benefit your own wallet. We have, for example, the co-founder of Facebook that has actually renounced his US citizenship and is now living in Singapore, which has saved him millions in taxes. Just to give you an example that, other people have done this, and especially the wealthy and rich have done this. Now, we also have the founder of IKEA, who is obviously from Sweden, that decided to relocate to Switzerland and avoid the high taxes of Sweden for 4 decades. Another one that is very well known is the French actor Gerard Depardieu, who decided to leave France, get Russian citizenship, and now he also has citizenship in the UAE, which is a tax-free country. So there's so many examples that I could be listing of people who have done this previously in order to significantly lower their taxes. And in my case, yes, we're not talking about the usual accounting practices of, drive up your business expenses as high as possible so that your business stays as low as profit as possible. No, I don't do those kind of normal accounting practices, because it's not needed. If you really use those global tax strategies, which involve relocation to a new place, you can then really make an impact on your taxes. Of course, if that's not available to you, then you want to make sure that you're set up as best as possible locally in your country. This can involve things such as setting up a holding company, things such as setting up a trust structure. That is very much possible. But if you are someone who is normally, my client or a student, it's very much likely that you have figured out how to make money from everywhere, that you have figured out how to have an online business. And in that case, you have that freedom and flexibility to move yourself somewhere else that will leave you with so much more money in your pocket at the end of the day. And it's funny to me as well that people normally, when we talk about finances and how to increase our money, people will spend so much money, tens of thousands of dollars, on figuring out how to create new income streams, which by all means, if you're at the very beginning of this making money online journey, then yes, you need to kind of learn a skill of how to do that. But beyond that, people will drop so much money on coaching courses, they'll drop so much money on courses that teach them as well how to make more money on their investments, where to invest to, into what crypto coins to invest. And if we go back to the normal, more traditional, safer route of investing into the S&P 500, like those things will normally yield an average return and increase on your investments of 10% per year. That isn't a whole lot, especially in a day and age where inflation is so high. It's not gonna make a huge shift. Where versus I've seen people eliminating their tax bill, and with the same amount of income, they're then able to increase what they're able to keep in their pockets by like 800% from one year to the next year. Because yes, it can all happen within 1 year, you know, like my VIP clients usually stay on with me for like 3 months, where we make everything happen from the beginning till the end of them relocating, of them leaving their old tax home country so that they can then enter a new tax system. So it can happen really quick if you're ready to do this. And it can also happen really quick for your income, because obviously we always backfile the taxes, like what you're earning in this year will then be in next year's tax return. But you know, it makes a significant difference if your next tax bill is actually going to be super low, or if you know that your next tax bill will be the last one of those big expenses that you will have. And the other thing that we don't think about much about this whole global tax strategies that are available to a lot of people nowadays is how much it can actually impact your mentality around this whole finances topic, because it makes a huge shift. And I've been so grateful to be able to observe this with a lot of my clients, is that once they realize they're actually in a country where they don't have to give much of their income, something switches. And it's almost like it propels people to, okay, now there is no stop. Now there is no like, oh, if I hit a higher threshold, I'll have to deal with more complicated taxes. I'll have to figure out, you know, my payroll for more people and stuff like that. It's almost like there's no more barrier of how far they can go. And oftentimes I see them doing way better financially than before, also in their turnover and how much they're bringing into the business. Because once you feel like you're free and you have that personal freedom and even financial freedom, and you know exactly what I make eventually belongs to me, it will support your business in doing better and greater. So don't underestimate the impact that a global tax strategy can have on your overall financial well-being. And this doesn't just apply to, you know, my people who have large tax bills, because yes, I help people with large tax bills eliminate those tax bills or significantly reduce them. You know, I've had people with 6-figure tax bills, even 7-figure tax bills. But this also applies for those that are just starting out. Believe it or not, I've had even people who are still at university, they're still students, come into my signature program, learn all about this, get the fundamentals of the financial education around taxes and around global tax strategies, because they know that they will eventually start their own side hustle and build up their own business, and they want to be in this whole online business world. So they're making sure now that once they're ready to launch everything, they can start things correctly from the beginning, so that from the beginning, while they're starting out, everything can actually go to them because they're set up in the most tax efficient ways. So these people don't even ever have to deal with the, you know, the highest expense being taxes. They can just make as much money and focus on just making and producing more and bringing in more money, and they can be sure that everything belongs to them. So there's no need, you know, for you to wait around till you're starting to make 6 figures or more than that, multiple 6 figures, till you decide that taxes should actually be a heavy focus, where you should spend some time and energy around the whole topic to learn how this is possible. And to give you a couple of examples, you know, of course, I have a lot of people who move to the UAE because it is a tax-free country where you don't have to pay any personal taxes on it. But there's also many other places where this can work, especially in my territorial tax countries, or those that have something similar to territorial tax countries, like Thailand, for example. That can work in many places. It doesn't just have to be the UAE. Don't think that this will only work if you're ready to move to the UAE, because I know that a lot of my people, they're not really into the UAE. They can't really see themselves living full time in Dubai, and no, you don't have to. These global tax strategies, if you're flexible with your way of making money online, if you're flexible with your global mobility and you can move around, then we can also design a strategy around your preferred lifestyle and your all of your sources of income that you've got. There isn't only one option that works. I will never just sell you on one option. I always try to make holistic plans around how it is that you like to move around, how it is that you like to split up your calendar year and make things as tax efficient as possible around your whole preferred lifestyle. So I hope this gave you a good insight into why I think that this is so important, because really the return on investment on this, for you to put the time and energy into learning these global tax strategies and then actually putting them into practice, will result in such a good foundation for your overall financial well-being, for your business as well, to be able to retain as much of the income that is coming in and reinvesting it back into the business, so that you can just scale without limits, without having to think about, well, what about, my payroll? What about the people that I'm employing? What about the taxes that I'm going to be hitting? Am I going to be hitting the highest threshold? How am I going to get that money out of the business? Like, is it going to be through salary, through dividends, loans? No, there are such good structures available. A lot of my people set up US LLC. That's no surprise, where all that you earn just simply flows through to you. I've got a good guide about it. I might link it down below so you can have a read through it, where things can just go so much simpler than what we're actually used to, especially those of you in high taxing Western countries. It's things aren't as simple. You need to think about so many things. You need to hire bookkeeper, accountants, and this and that. Imagine if this whole subject just felt lighter and you can just simply focus on what you're good at, on your skill set, and on scaling your business. I hope this has been of value, and I'll see you next time.